Good afternoon, family, friends, faculty, staff, Mayor Bloomberg, and Dean Noria, and of course, the class of 2019. I am Sana Mohammed.
I am Triston Francis, and we are so grateful to have served as your Student Association co-presidents.
A little more than 2 years ago, we read those magical words in our admissions letter. The answer is yes. It was a moment that changed the course of our lives, a moment that would have never been possible without the help of a community. Family, friends, colleagues, mentors, partners, many of whom are in the audience today. This day is possible only because of your love, support, and encouragement. We cannot thank you enough. HBS has challenged us, but the community that we've built here has enabled us to overcome those challenges and grow. For every case we could not crack, there was a discussion group member willing to lend a helping hand. For every club that needed to be run, there was a batch of student leaders willing to give up their time and to benefit us, their peers. For every job we were interested in, there was a classmate with relevant work experience willing to help us prepare. In the past 2 years, Triston and I have had the unique opportunity to be fortunate enough to see our peers exhibit exceptional leadership in building our HBS community. And what we've learned is that there are 2 keys to community building. The first is being vulnerable. And the second is giving without expectation of return.
As a sophomore in high school, I discovered that I was dyslexic. What could have been devastating news was actually a breath of fresh air. Up until that point, I had spent my days avoiding teachers in the classroom for a fear that I was not intelligent enough to speak up. I often spent my nights crying myself to sleep, filled with the anxiety that came with the fear of having to go to school the next day. I felt alone. Rather than asking for help, I decided to pour additional hours on the problem. And by doing this, I was able to claw my way through high school. As a college freshman, I had the reading fluency of a 12-year-old. And again, I attempted to overcome this by pouring more and more and more time into everything that I did. And when I graduated from college and entered the workplace, I used that high school mentality once again. And this approach seemed to be working for a while until I came to HBS. The sheer volume of reading that we've had to do these past few years made this approach of pouring more hours unsustainable. For example, I remember during our first week of classes, I spent over 4 hours preparing for the Toby Johnson case, a case which took many of our classmates less than an hour to complete. I was reading cases nonstop. I was not sleeping. I wasn't speaking in class. I was missing out on social events and opportunities to meet our classmates. I felt very much on the verge of giving up, but instead, I finally decided to ask for help. I reached out to a close friend of mine, our classmate, Lindsay Murrow, and told her about my academic struggles. Lindsay looked me straight in the eyes and said, "Triston, you need help. Reach out to your professors, tell them you're struggling, and you better do this by the next time I see you or else." And I'm seeing a few smiles from people that know Lindsay. She may have used a little bit more harsh language, but there are some children in the audience, and it's a family-friendly event. But that tough love is exactly what I needed. I met one-on-one with each of my professors, and they provided tremendous support. One clear example of the support came from my operations professor, Willie Shee. He urged me to simply raise my hand and explain that if I needed to, he would stall for a bit so that I had a moment to gather my thoughts before speaking. Simply having this offer on the table provided me with the courage I needed to participate in the classroom. This made me realize that it wasn't so much the volume of work that I had been battling all of these years, but rather the psychological baggage that I carried with me from years of academic struggles and feeling as though I was not intelligent enough. If it was not for caring classmates like Lindsay and professors like Professor Shi, I would have had a miserable experience at HBS. I certainly would not have run for Student Association co-president or taken on any sort of activities outside of the classroom. This experience of letting my guard down and being vulnerable taught me the importance of asking for help from our community.
Working with Triston, I've admired his incredible work ethic, as many of you can probably attest to with his 6 a.m. school-wide emails. I think that this work ethic is in part a byproduct of how he navigated his dyslexia. Sometimes, challenges in our lives can also lead to blessings. I learned this lesson growing up. My younger brother, Altaf, was born with a developmental disability. He has severe autism. This means that as a 26-year-old, he has the intellectual capacity of a 4-year-old. He can't read, he can speak, but his sentences are broken. He also has epilepsy. Once a week, he has a seizure when he's sleeping. So this means he can never sleep alone. I remember once, when I was in high school, he fell asleep on the couch, and I thought I could take a quick shower and just slip away. But I was wrong. He had a seizure while I was away. He fell, hit his head on the tile floors, and bruised. I remember being so disappointed in myself for not being there, because I should have been. He's not just my parents' responsibility, but mine. I went to college in Houston to be there for him, and I lived at home. When you aspire to be ever present for someone, it may seem like you are giving a lot. But giving in itself is an enormous blessing. And I know my relationship with my brother has been. From him, I've learned so much, like the pure excitement in his eyes when we go to the car wash or when we're on a plane. He has taught me the importance of finding the joy in the little things in life. He has taught me that there's an immense reward in giving, that giving fills your heart with compassion, gratitude, and love. It feeds your soul, it deepens relationships, and it breathes life into community. I know I've experienced that firsthand here at HBS. Unaccustomed to living alone and away from my brother and my family, I felt very lonely here during the first year. I felt like I had no one to turn to for help. But I was wrong. The HBS community has been there for me every step of the way. From my section mate, who helped me move my kitchen table into my apartment, to my close friend, who unprompted sent me a book of poetry over the summer to help me deal with heartbreak. From the leaders of the WSA review sessions, who were the only reason I made it through finals RC year, to the organizers of the Japan track and the Machu Picchu track that exposed me to opportunities I never would have had on my own. These experiences here have helped me create a family that I'm sad to leave. As SA co-president, we have had the opportunity to see countless classmates, from section officers to conference organizers, give without the expectation of return.
And we have also had the opportunity to see classmates with a strong desire to also be vulnerable, whether that means speaking up in a class that's outside of your comfort zone or sharing your personal story in front of your section through a My Take.
And in being vulnerable and sharing their ideas and their stories, our classmates have been giving to us every day. It is this desire to be vulnerable and to give that excites us most about the class of 2019. Because we know if we are going to be leaders who make a difference in the world, we need to build community. And to build community, we need to be vulnerable and help others be vulnerable. We need to give and help others give.
As we continue on in our lives, community is going to become even more important. Fortunately, Harvard Business School is not a 2-year experience. This journey that we've been on lasts a lifetime.
We are leaving here today with the HBS community in our corner to comfort us, advise us, and challenge us. So we ask you to remember this.
Community is not possible without vulnerability.
And there's just an immense reward in giving to your community as there is in receiving.
Class of 2019, as we embark on this next journey of our lives, may we always have the courage to lead with vulnerability and the compassion to give of ourselves regularly.
Thank you for being a part of this lifelong community.